Thank you
Well,
very
first, let me tell you, Ethiopians are crazy like all Africans. We're crazy people. We're people who are in total contradiction with our history. We fight with ourselves. And the reason for me is because we don't know our history. And this is even like when you look at the Oromo, for example, Oromo history. The three prominent generals of the guerrilla warfare are Oromo folks. And yet, their history is not known by educated Ethiopians. Marxist Ethiopians who are against emperor do not know this history. In fact, they study guerrilla warfare in China, when in fact Mao talks about Ethiopian guerrilla warfare. You can tell how, it's ships at night. Ethiopian intellectuals are destabilized by the coming of England into Ethiopia. Because what you have to know, the last chapter of my film is how England destabilized Ethiopia, wanted to recolonize Ethiopia, and peasant Ethiopians had a shootout with the British. You don't know that? No Ethiopian knows that. The peasants were fighting the British when they were trying to recolonize Ethiopia. Churchill's idea is Ethiopia should not be free because we're going to lose Sudan, all the colonial. Ethiopia defies colonialism. That's a very important symbolism. Ethiopia defies the idea of Africans cannot govern themselves. Arrogant history that traces back mythically even to Sheba and Solomon and all that stuff. So the Churchill group said, we don't want this narrative. All the soldiers who fought in Ethiopia should not take the disease back to their African countries. Nigerians, even Indians came to fight with the British. Many Indians died in the current war. More Indians. British were like 3-4 British for every 1,000 Africans. And so one thing I know is my father's generation understood colonialism because they knew fighting back historically. Not my generation. My generation only knew there is a feudalism in Ethiopia, there was no history, and we're going to take Ethiopia to a moon age called communism. Even for that, it didn't speak to the local people and it became a disaster. The left-wing Ethiopians became historyless. Okay? So that's what you have to know. But it doesn't mean we have finished that war. Present contemporary Ethiopians are confused. Why? They don't know their history. This is my contention. This is why I'm making this film, personally. Because it's the crux of the matter of Ethiopian transformation is this battle. We did not have the history of these warriors, barefoot Ethiopian warriors. The British began a new narrative saying, we freed Ethiopia. I myself said it to an Ethiopian fighter, the British freed us, he tried to kill me. He says, I lost 7 brothers fighting the Italians. How in the hell would you even say the British freed me? Now, where is this narrative? There's more books about the British getting rid of Ethiopians. Not only that, they declared they took guerrilla warfare to Ethiopia. The British showed up in the war in 1940. Ethiopian teachers teach this, that Wingate brought guerrilla warfare in Ethiopia. For 5 years, Ethiopians were fighting guerrilla warfare. A very sophisticated that made Italians not settle in Ethiopia. In Jimma, you'll see the film, if you get to see the film, it's an amazing history. But the problem here is Ethiopian elite themselves began to give credits to British to a point where the British, our handful, became our liberators. We don't even pay attention to Indians who died for us from India as British colonial soldiers in current war. We don't even pay tribute to Sudanese warriors who came with the British, who died. Many, in fact, one Ethiopian liberated Wingate from almost dying on a horseback and left all the Sudanese to die. And then when the British write the history, they write liberating Ethiopians, a different narrative. And our teachers taught us that. Our emperor was a friend of the British. His great-grandson came to my editing room and he said, why are you criticizing the British? They were my grandfather's best friends. Well, I told him, you're right. They made him a king, good king. He should be a friend, but I told him they are my enemies because they try to recolonize my father. And so the contradictions, Ethiopians are sophisticated people. The peasants, the workers, their language is full of mystery. When an Ethiopian says say hello to you, there's subtext. He's questioning, who are you? What's your motive? He's not just embracing her. Don't look at these modern Ethiopians that are completely think, like now in Ethiopia, if you're white restaurant service, you can see how a few Europeans try to remove me and an Ethiopian filmmaker from a dinner table, say they need our table. And Ethiopian waiters come and say, move for the white people. In swimming pools at the Hilton, you find racism. Ethiopians have never been occupied, but the new Ethiopians are mentally occupied and do not even know racism if it kissed them.